Hello, hello, everybody. How is everyone doing today in this fine afternoon? I'm coming to you live from Hong Kong. It's been a while since I've been on live. It's been a busy few months. I'm glad to be back. And if you are here tuning in live, feel free to jump in and say hello and post a comment. I am checking it out so I can shout out and say hello to you. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm here. So in this live video, but before I begin, let me introduce myself to those of you who don't know me, who are watching for the first time. My name is Crystal. I'm a singer and voice coach at CSMA Studio, and I'm also co-founder of the Online Vocal Academy, where we help people who don't think they sing very well become very, very good, confident, and skilled singers. So we work with people who are total beginners to professionals, people who have been in the industry for decades. And we also work with non-singers as well. So people who are entrepreneurs or they're in business and they just really love to sing, or people who are podcasters who create a lot of content, personal trainers, yoga instructors, coaches, because truly learning to sing is something that all of us can do and should do because there's so many benefits of learning to sing. Anyway, so that's me. And today I'm going to be coming to you live. What I want to share with you, we're going to be talking about today is the 4 stages of your vocal journey. And I'm excited to share with you today. This is the first time I've used slides, so hopefully that you'll find this helpful and valuable. And again, be sure to say hello and let me know where you're watching from. If you're watching it live or watching the replay, say hello, and I'd love to chat with you and have a conversation. So first of all, we're answering the question today, how do I get from where I am now to where I want to be with my voice? How do we get from where you are now to where you want to be? I'm actually going to make this a little bigger so that you can see this more than my face. So in this vocal tip of the week, as I mentioned, we're talking about the 4 key points that you should know about the process of learning to sing. I promise you this is going to be practical and you're going to be able to understand your voice on a deeper level through this little free tip that I'm giving away here today. So 4 key points that you should know about the process of learning to sing. So if you're somebody who's always wanted to learn to sing, but it kind of feels hard or it feels like it's so challenging to do it well, then I'm going to boil it down to just 4 things that you need to know about that process of learning to become a good singer. And also we're going to be talking about this 4 stages of your vocal journey. And yes, learning to sing is definitely a journey and there are stages to it. So we're going to be talking about that today as well. So why is all of this important? Why do we need to know all this stuff? Well, understanding this is going to help you get unstuck, is going to help you build incredible momentum so that you can keep moving forward in your progress. How many of you are in that zone of feeling like, you do want to sing if you're here, you're watching, clearly you enjoy singing, but you're not sure how to move forward. You're not sure if you're actually gaining traction. You're not even sure if you're improving. So how do you know? What are the signs? And how do you know if you're even on the right path? So hopefully this training, this little tip of the week is going to answer that question for you. Now, who is this for? Who is this for exactly? Is this only for singers? Well, if you don't think you sing very well, but you really want to, there's something in you that's thinking, I really wish I gave myself that time when I was younger, maybe, to learn how to sing, or maybe just take it a little bit more seriously than, but maybe the time has passed. Maybe it's too late for me. I promise you it's not. So this is for you. If you don't think you sing very well, but you really want to, then definitely check out this video. And if you don't think of yourself as a professional singer, but something in you, like I mentioned before, something in you is drawn to the idea of voice lessons. So maybe, you kind of had the idea of having singing lessons in the past, but you never really took it seriously, or you thought maybe this is something that I might want to do sometimes down the line, but I don't really know if this is really for me. Then hopefully this video will inspire you and give you some guidance here. And finally, this is for those, if you want to use your voice with more confidence and intention, but you don't know where to begin, So if you want to use your voice with greater confidence, you want to free your voice, but you have no idea where to start. You don't even know if you should start doing exercises. Should I find a coach? You don't even know where to begin. Then hopefully this video will also give you a little bit of guidance as well. So I hope you like that. All right, so first off, the first point is the journey of vocal discovery. So about the process of learning how to sing. So there are 4 key points that I really want to share with you that's going to really help you as you start learning about your voice. So if you're thinking about lessons, or you're in lessons right now, or you're starting to practice, you're starting to learn about the voice, or you're curious about it, then there's 4 things that I want to share with you that's going to really help you. So the first thing here is that this journey doesn't end. I am still on this journey. You know, my mother, Christine Sampson, who is a legendary singer in Hong Kong and also a voice coach here as well, who taught me everything I know about voice, also is on her own journey as well. This journey doesn't end whether you are a professional singer. There's no point at which, you know, you get to this level of, okay, I've learned everything I need to know about singing. There's no more that I need to know. No, this journey never ends. It's ongoing. So that's a good thing, though. You might think, oh no, but it never ends. Then, you know, why start it? I promise you it's worth every step of the way. And just know that this, and as you will see as I continue in this presentation, this little mini workshop here, you'll realize why this is a good thing. And secondly, the next point that I want to share with you is that the journey of vocal discovery is not a straightforward path. So sometimes students will ask me, well, you know, I feel like I was improving, and then now I feel like I've gone backwards, and then I'm improving and then I've gone backwards. I don't know if I'm even doing the right thing. And I'll tell them the journey towards vocal success is not a straight path. It's not like you just keep moving forward and you never, and then you don't encounter any stumbling blocks. Absolutely not. We are constantly learning. In fact, as we'll talk about a little bit later too, the journey is not a straightforward path. And in fact, it actually cycles, it kind of loops sometimes. You know, so as we're learning, we're discovering things about our voice, we try new things and we explore, but sometimes we have some setbacks. That setback doesn't mean you've done something wrong. It's just part of that journey. But if we think that setback, oh, suddenly my voice, I'm not in a good condition and I used to be able to hit that note and how come I can't hit it today? If we let ourselves get strayed by that, if we let ourselves, get consumed by those moments of when we have those setbacks, and we all are going to have them, I promise you. If you are learning to sing and you're wanting to get that confidence of being on stage or singing in front of others, you're going to, I don't want to say mess up, but you're going to have some times when you're going to walk off stage feeling that that really wasn't your best performance. I still do that to this day. Many of our professional singers still experience that too. That's part of the journey. It's not a bad thing. In fact, that's what makes the journey more rich and exciting as well. The next thing I wanted to share with you is that every voice is unique, which means every journey is unique as well. And that's the thing, is that sometimes people, we compare ourselves to others. And I think this happens whether you're learning to sing or something else too. How often do we learn and we're getting excited and motivated, and then something else happens or somebody does something, and then you think, well, that person is better. That person's better than me, or they're doing better than me. I'm not meant to be here. This is human nature. We compare, but it's really important to know if you are considering, or you are already on this path of vocal discovery and you're learning about your voice, or you're already taking lessons, or you're thinking about taking lessons, it's really important that you know that you are different. You are unique. Every person is different. Your voice is unique, which means your journey is your journey. Your journey is going to be different from somebody else's. My journey of vocal discovery is totally different from the journey of my mom's or the journey of all of my students. Everybody is different. So, there is no real value in comparing yourself and thinking, oh, that person, it sounds better and I'll never sing that way. And so I'm not going to even learn. I'm just going to feel that I'm not meant to be here. Trust me, everybody feels that way at some point, even professional singers. And it's important to know that, that this is, again, the nature of that journey. And again, related to that, another last point that I want to share with you about the journey of vocal discovery is that it's not about perfection. Sometimes, so often I'll teach students and they'll hit a note and I'll think it's great because I'm hearing the progress and I'm hearing where they can go next and I'm excited. But the student gets caught up in, oh, it wasn't perfect. It didn't sound good. I must have been doing something wrong. And why is that bad? Well, firstly, we get in our own heads and we get in our own way. But then what often happens is that students will think that because they don't feel that they sound perfect, they must be doing something totally wrong. And so what do? They change. They do completely different things and they start exploring or trying too hard. And then they lose track of where they should be. So you got to remember that learning to sing is not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about celebrating those wins. It's about knowing that this journey is part of it. And what I say often with students is that we kind of need to accept that temporarily we are not going to sound great temporarily. But this is an important part of the process in order to sound great permanently. Does that make sense? We kind of need to accept that as we're learning to sing and we're discovering our voice, things are not going to sound necessarily the way we want to right off the bat. We need to go through that process of discovering. We're going to talk more about that in a minute, but we need to learn to explore and allow ourselves to accept that maybe we're not going to sound great temporarily, but that is a necessary part of the journey in order to sound great permanently in the future. Hope that makes sense. So remember that this is not about perfection. All right, so coming to here, what does all of that really mean? I said a bunch of stuff, but what does that really mean? Well, to summarize, it means that the process of learning to sing is nonlinear. So we talked a little bit about that. It's not, you have a lesson and then you improve, and you have a lesson and you improve, you have a lesson and improve, and then it just continues to go smooth sailing. I would say most of the time it is like that, but sometimes we do have setbacks because we are human, because the voice is part of our body, is part of our human nature. Our emotions have impacted. Our diet impacts the way that we use our voice. The conditions of our environment. There's many factors that will impact our voice. And if we start to think of that as setbacks, we can easily feel like we're not good enough. We can actually get stuck even more. So it's important to know that this is non-linear. Sometimes we are cycling, sometimes we loop backwards, but as we look backwards, as long as you keep moving forward, you will continue to get closer to your goals. This journey does have its ups and downs, but it's 100% worth it. Now, this journey is also a journey of personal discovery, and I love this about learning to sing, because truly the more you learn about your voice, the more you actually learn about yourself. And I've talked about this in other videos in the past too, because really when you are learning about your voice, you're tapping into a deeper part of yourself and you're tuning inwardly. It's kind of like being more mindful of who you are and how you show up in the world. So as you learn to free your voice, as you learn to remove some of the mental blocks and physical blocks that you might have when it comes to your vocal technique, you actually start to free yourself a bit more and you show up differently. You speak differently, you move differently, you talk differently, you present yourself differently in the world as you continue to learn how to be more expressive and confident with your voice. So this truly is a journey of personal discovery. But again, as I mentioned before, as long as you keep moving forward with your practices, you get the guidance and you're continuously training, you will experience those wins and you will continue to get closer to your goals. And we see this happening all the time, every day. So know that as long as you continue to move forward, you may feel like you have a setback, just keep moving forward with your practices and your trainings, and you will continue to experience those wins. All right. Hey, Raya, I see you there, and thank you for saying hello. Okay, moving on here to the next section of this mini vocal tip of the week, which is about the 4 stages of your vocal journey. So what are these stages? Well, what is the journey like? Well, if we don't know where we're going or what to look out for, it's easy to lose track. If we have a goal, we have a place we want to be where we are now with our voice, and we know what we'd like to achieve with our voice, If we don't have that roadmap, we could get lost. But even if we do have a roadmap, if we don't have signs, if we don't even know what we're looking out for, how can we achieve that? How do we even know we're moving in the right direction? So hopefully these 4 stages will give you some guidance in that way. So first up here, the first stage of your vocal journey is you got to learn to listen. So what does that mean exactly? I often say that learning to sing is so much of learning to sing is about ear training, not in terms of getting the right pitch or being perfect pitch or whatnot. It's about learning to hear your voice, learning to hear yourself and become more sensitive to the way that you sound. It's about learning to listen. So that's the first stage of your vocal journey. You have to learn to hear yourself and listen, know what you're listening for, to discover what your voice is capable of. And what does that involve? It means that you also need to learn how to learn what you're doing right and what you're doing that's actually getting in the way of your voice's ability to be free and resonant on its own. So that's all to do with learning to listen. So becoming aware of the way that you're using your voice now, and then knowing that you have tools that can correct that. Then when you have those tools, what is the next step? What is the next stage of that journey? You got to practice. We all know that. But it's not just practice randomly. We got to practice with intention. We have to know what we're doing with our voice. We have to know what we're trying to achieve whenever we're practicing. And I've had previous videos where I've gone through that process of what does it mean by practicing with intention. So you can check that out. You can go ahead and visit my blog. You'll have seen or search through my previous videos as well. I did a video on how to practice with intention. I gave you 4 tips on how to even do that. And that's really important because we could be practicing the wrong things. So say we learn to listen to our voice and okay, I can hear, there's some things that I want to improve and these are the areas that I want to get better. These are the parts of my voice that I think are working really well. And here are the parts that I feel are limited. Okay, so now you know that, you've learned to hear that. Then you learn the tools that can help you course correct, that can help you find that better balance in your voice. Then you got to practice, but you got to practice with that intention. You can't just randomly do exercises and not really know why you're doing them. And so that's a really important part of this journey. So that stage of this journey is really practicing, but knowing how to practice. Okay, so you've done that. You've learned to listen. You understand that there's tools that can help you to use your voice more expressively and more powerfully. You can free your voice. You're practicing those tools with intention as well. Then what's the next stage? Well, the next stage is to learn to internalize. You want to internalize because as you're practicing with intention, what happens is you actually develop new habits. You develop good habits in your voice. But just because you've practiced a couple times doesn't mean you always have them, right? It doesn't mean you always have these habits. It takes a little bit of time to really internalize them so that it becomes part of you. It becomes part of your natural go-to way of using your voice. So these new habits have to be internalized. And so there's that whole stage of the journey is about learning to apply these new habits for your speaking or for your singing as well. And then the final stage of your vocal journey is to get creative. And what do I mean by that? Getting creative means you have these tools and you have filled in the gaps on your voice. You feel that you've had progress. Well, is that it? Is that all there is to learning how to sing? Well, the answer is no. You have to learn. It's about having fun. It's about being creative. It's kind of like when we learn to use our, say for example, we're learning to paint, right? We have all these tools and we know how to use these certain brushes and we know how to mix colors. Well, then what? Is that it? Of course not. The next step is what picture do you want to paint? What do you want to do with these tools? What do you want to do with these colors? That's when we have a lot of fun. We can create different effects with our voices. We can create different color tones and different colorings with the way that we sound. And so that we can explore style. And there's lots of different things that we can be creative with our voice. So we learn the tools, we internalize them, but then we learn to use them in creative ways, in creative and expressive ways. Now, these are the 4 stages. Now, do you just go through, I guess the next question here is, what does this mean? So what is knowing these stages? So these are the 4 stages. What does it really mean? Well, to summarize, it means that learning to sing is an ongoing journey that evolves. And not only does it evolve, but it gets better. It gets better the longer you stay on this path. And also, this is the really key point. It's really interesting is that, yes, there are stages. And this path, there are stages, the learning to listen, practicing with intention, internalizing these new habits, and then getting creative, learning to use these new skills in creative ways. But is that it? You go through it once? No. This journey happens in cycles. We cycle through the stages all the time. And let me show you what that looks like. This is the cycle of vocal discovery. We listen, we practice, we internalize, then we create, and we learn to create different sounds. But then as we're creating, guess what? We start to hear our voices in new ways because we're exploring and we're really getting to know our instrument. We're exploring and we're discovering new things about our voice. I'm still discovering new things about my voice all the time. And when I hear certain things, I think to myself, oh, I've never really created that sound before. That's a really interesting feeling. That's a really interesting sound. So then what do? I go back through the cycle again. I learn to listen to that sound. I practice it a little bit more. I internalize that new skill. Then I play with it. I get creative with it. And I start applying it into my songs or however I want to use my voice in speech or presentations or anything where I would be using my voice. So then we're always moving through this cyclical cycle. So it's listen, practice, internalize, and create. Okay, so to summarize, I want to show you there's a couple key takeaways that I want to share with you. We went through a lot of stuff today. So whether you're watching live or you're watching the replay, I hope this has been valuable. But I want to summarize some of the key points, the key takeaways here. First of all, learning to sing is a lifelong journey. It's a non-linear journey, and it's also a journey of personal discovery. You learn so much about yourself when you learn to sing. And the second key takeaway here is that the journey of vocal discovery is made up of stages. And these stages are, they're phases or stages that we don't just go through once. We actually are always cycling back. We're going back to stage 1 and moving through those stages again. And we learn more about our voice and we discover more things about our voice, and we go back to learning to listen and then practice and internalize and create. We're constantly cycling through. So it gets richer and richer the more we stay on this path. All right, so moving to end here so far. I hope you enjoyed this session, whether you're watching live or the replay. And then what are your next action steps? So you kind of understand that the life, learning to sing is that journey. I gave you 4 key points that you want to understand as you're going through this process to make it easier. And also I shared with you those 4 stages so that you know what to look for as you're progressing in your singing. You also know where to be moving towards at every stage, at every step of this journey. So what's next? What are your action steps? Well, if you like this mini training, I know that you will love my longer training, which is it's free. It's a free, head on over to onlinevocalacademy.net/3 steps, and you'll get access to my free training, which is the first 3 steps to free your voice. It's completely free. There's 3 lessons in there, and it really takes you through the beginning stages of learning to listen, learning to understand your voice. As today I talked about the 4 stages, this is really taking you through that first stage of learning to understand your voice and hear your voice in a whole new way. So I hope you will check that out. And of course, your next step is when you do check that out and we are connected on email, I'd love for you to share your goals with me too. So we can have a whole conversation privately over email. As once you're connected, you will hear from me regularly through email, my newsletter, but you can also connect with me and share your goals. I'd love to hear from you. And lastly, before I finish up this free vocal tip of the week, I want you to know that your voice is a gift. If you learn to use it well, it will serve you. And it won't just serve you, but it will serve those around you in incredibly powerful ways, in ways that you don't realize yet. And the voice is such an incredible tool that is so often overlooked and underutilized. So I wanted to share that with you and hope that you take that with you for the rest of the week. All right, so that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this training. I'll be back again next week for another live mini training, and hope you like this video. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.